Night is coming. One by one the stars appear. Night is coming. And soon it will be time for stories. Long ago, storytellers invented magical stories about the sun, moon, stars, and the other great mysteries of the sky. The stories were not meant to explain these mysteries. Rather, they were told to help people pay attention to our world. Today, scientists use another way to help us pay attention to the mysteries of the sky. By observing, measuring, and predicting, they explain how the world works. And like the storytellers of old, today's scientists can lead us to better know and care for our world. Storytellers and scientists are today's skytellers, for they both tell us about the sky. And though each tells a different kind of story, both help us to better know our world and ourselves. Night is here. Listen now. This is the time for stories. One night, Coyote was looking at the stars. They were sparkling and dancing all over the sky. Coyote watched them for a while, and then he had an idea. And he called up to them, "Pretty star girls, dancing stars, I'm the best dancer on earth, and I want to dance with you." But the stars just laughed. They said to one another, "Listen to Coyote. He thinks he can dance with us. Why, we dance all night. We don't get tired. We don't stop to rest. Coyote can't dance all night." Now Coyote could hear what the stars were saying, and it made him want to dance with them all the more. "No," he called, "I won't stop. I won't rest. I can dance all night. I'm the greatest dancer of all. Let me dance with you." But the stars only laughed again, and they kept on dancing. But one star did not laugh. Little Star didn't laugh. She called down to Coyote, "Coyote, you can dance with me, but you must dance all night. You can't stop, and you can't rest." And so Coyote promised that he would dance the whole night, and Little Star promised to meet him on the mountaintop the next night. Oh, Coyote was happy. He was going to get to dance with the stars. Late the next day, Coyote climbed to the mountaintop. He waited for the sky to get dark. He waited and waited and waited. Then, shh! Little Star came dashing toward him. She swept him off the mountaintop, way up into the sky. Shh! And they began to dance. They danced and danced and danced. Oh, Coyote was happy. How he loved dancing with the stars. He danced in and out and up and down all across the sky. But soon it happened. Coyote's dancing changed. Coyote was out of breath. He was too tired to dance. "Little Star, this dancing is good, but I must catch my breath. The sky is too wide. The night is too long. Let's stop this dance and rest." Little Star just laughed. "Oh no, Coyote, don't you remember? You must dance across the sky. You must dance all night." But it was no use. Coyote could not dance. He begged Little Star, "Help me, please. I must rest." But Little Star just laughed and danced off into the night. Just then, Coyote saw the earth below. "Earth is not so far away. I can jump down to the earth." But before he could begin to jump, Coyote began to fall. Coyote fell down through the sky, down past the stars, down past the moon. He fell faster and faster. The earth looked bigger and bigger and bigger, and at last Coyote landed. Coyote broke apart and scattered his bones all across the earth. But it was not the end of Coyote, because the next night, and for all the nights since that time, as soon as the sky grows dark, and the stars come dancing into the night, Coyote and all of his cousins can be heard to beg and howl. You, stars, you, let us dance with you. One by one, the stars come and take coyotes to the sky, but it's always the same. One by one, the coyotes cannot last the night, and they fall back to earth. On clear, dark nights, they can be seen falling through the sky, streaking down all bright and beautiful. Falling coyotes. Look for them. And that's the end of the story.
Have you ever gone out on a dark, clear night to look at the stars and suddenly a streak of light shoots across the sky and disappears? In the olden days, people called these sudden flashes of light falling stars or shooting stars because they look like stars falling out of the sky. We still call them that even today. But even though people call them falling stars, they're not really stars. For stars are huge balls of hot gas like the sun, so distant from us that they appear as points of light, and real stars never fall from the sky. Scientists call these swift streaks of light meteors. When we see a meteor flash in the night sky, we're seeing the end of its story. To find the beginning, we must think backward in time, millions, even billions of years. Now it is time for a science story of how meteors come to streak across the skies of Earth. Long, long ago, scientists say that it was about 4.5 billion years ago, there was a huge cloud in space made of dust and gas. This huge cloud drew itself together into a great spinning disk. Most of the material crowded into the center to make a great ball that grew so hot it began to shine. It became our sun, a new star, shining in space. But all around our new sun swirled leftover material that began to stick together to form smaller balls. These became the small rocky planets like Earth and the big gas planets like Jupiter, as well as the moons that circle around them. But even when the planets had formed, there were still leftovers. Flying chunks of rock and iron that we call asteroids, dirty icebergs called comets that drift out beyond the planets, and tiny bits of dust that still whirl around the sun. Imagine for a moment that you are one of those leftover bits of dust and dirt around the sun. We would call you a meteoroid, something that can become a meteor. You are very tiny, probably no bigger than a grain of sand, but you are traveling very fast, and you are very old as the sun and the planets. You have traveled around the sun more times than you can count, but finally, your path in space has put you directly into the path of Earth, and now the Earth is in your way. The Earth seems to get bigger and bigger as you speed toward it, and you can't avoid it. You're going to hit it, but first, you hit Earth's atmosphere, the blanket of air that surrounds and protects the Earth. As you slam into the air, you push against the particles, or molecules of gas that make up the air. You are rushing to Earth so fast, the air in front of you can't get out of your way. The air begins to pile up in front of you. The atoms in the pile of air squeeze together closer and tighter, all the while you are flying faster and faster. Finally, so much air is crammed into so small a space that the air's molecules begin to lose a part of themselves, and in doing so, they begin to glow and give off heat. A glow so bright, it can be seen for hundreds of miles, and a heat so great that the outer layer of you starts to boil away. You continue to rush toward the ground, and the atoms of air just in front of you, all around you, and behind you give off light and create a long, glowing tail. But you never make it to the ground. You're too small, and you burn up completely. And when you're gone, the glow fades. And that's the end of your story. As you streaked across the sky, someone might have seen you and called you a falling star, but you were a meteor, a beautiful flash of light that tells a tale about how the sun and planets formed. We never seem to run out of meteors. The solar system remains a dusty place partly because of those dirty icebergs we call comets. When a comet comes near the sun, it heats up and its ice turns into gas that streams off the surface, carrying bits of dust and dirt into space. The dust and dirt become new meteoroids that can collide with Earth. If our planet passes through the dusty trail of a comet, many tiny particles can hit the atmosphere and burn up in a short time. On those nights, we will see many streaks of light across the night sky, one after another. We call this a meteor shower. And sometimes the Earth encounters something called asteroids, something larger than a meteoroid, those leftovers made of rock and metal. If an asteroid is large and solid enough, it will not burn up completely as it plows through the air. Some of it will survive the journey through the atmosphere and land on Earth. When we find these small chunks of rock and iron from space lying on the ground, we call them meteorites. Such coyote bones are rare, but meteors flashing across the night sky are not so rare. On the next dark, clear night, go out and watch for them. You must be patient, but if you watch long enough, you will see one. A tiny, leftover piece of dust that has danced its way across the solar system for longer than you can imagine. A meteor that now, like Coyote, makes one last glowing dance across the sky. Listen now, as the coyotes beg to dance with the stars.